Okay, this is Film Class Week 7, Part 7. Um, Part of this class is paying attention to details. It's easy when you watch old movies, especially when you watch old movies. I think there's a tendency to you sort of know what it's about already, and you watch it, and it's interesting, and you're like, yeah, I got that there with Tin Man, the Wizard, and stuff. Look around for the weird details that make the movie fun. Just so, for example, when the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and the Lion and Dorothy go out to hunt for the Wicked Witch's broom, they bring weapons with them. Okay, I mean, Tin Man's got an axe, so okay. Um, the lion, now you might not realize what he's carrying because it's such an old-fashioned thing. The lion, it has butterfly catching equipment. He has like it's hard to describe it. It's like a can with a nozzle and a pump, and you put out smoke, and it makes the butterflies sleepy and easier to catch. He has a net. He's going to catch the butterflies in the net. Again, the whole thing about the Cowardly Lion is he wants to act masculine. He's actually quite feminine. The weapons he can think to bring are not for killing bad guys. They're for catching butterflies. It's just a cute little detail in the movie. Another little cute detail in the movie is the Scarecrow just brought a fucking revolver. He just has a fucking handgun, like gonna fucking shoot the Wicked Witch in the face and take that goddamn broom. It's just, and it never comes up again. Like he doesn't pull the gun out later in the movie, but if you look, he's just like straight up carrying a gun, which is amazing. It cracks me up the most in the movie. Okay, again, this is a twice told story, right? Because you have Act 1 that comes to completion, so you pay attention to things that repeat in Act 2 and 3. Notice, and this is Act 3 now, notice that, like the dog, in Act 1, the witch took the dog, and then the dog ran out of the basket. In the witch, same actress as Miss Gulch, has the dog, and the dog escapes out of the basket again. See, it's the wizard. The Acts 2 and 3 are like a dream logic, dream world version of the events of Act 1. That is such an unusual structure for a film. It's such a strange way to tell a story. To tell a story and then to tell it again where all the same actors are involved, but this time it's real fucking weird. It's just a fascinating way to tell a story. Okay. I wrote down a note that the witch saying to Dorothy, "My pretty," is like a little lesbian. I don't know. Is there queer energy in that? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, there's certainly maybe there's a queer reading to be done there. I don't know if that's that interesting or worth pointing out. It's just interesting in a movie where women are the all-powerful creatures. That this is a kind. She keeps calling Dorothy "my pretty," but I don't know. It's more of a pet thing. I don't know. Don't think about it. Feel free to weigh in on the queer subtext of the Wicked Witch of the West. I know that there's a book called Wicked about her. I've never read it. And there was a musical also, and I didn't see the musical. And The Wizard of Oz is interesting. The Wizard of Oz is one of those things that in my lifetime, The Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland, Sherlock Holmes, and Lovecraft. God, I've gone on a whole thing. You know how like you can't make a movie about Superman because you'll get sued by DC Comics, and you can't make a movie about the X-Men because you get sued by Marvel Comics. Theoretically, when something's around for like 100 years, anybody can make a movie about them because it's no longer owned by anybody in particular. Now, DC Comics and Disney has done a lot of work to make sure that never ever fucking happens. Because theoretically, you should be able to sell pictures of Mickey Mouse and make T-shirts with Mickey Mouse on them without getting sued. But that's because it's so old; it should be owned by everybody. The reason I mention this is because relatively recently, The Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland, Lovecraft, and Sherlock Holmes are public domain, meaning anybody can tell a Wizard of Oz story now. Anybody can tell Alice in Wonderland story. Frankenstein, Dracula. These are things that anybody can do a movie or a story of, and you won't get sued. They're not copyrighted characters. They're no longer owned by anyone. Same goes for Shakespeare plays. Whereas if you want to tell a story about Iron Man, you're going to get in some fucking trouble because if you make money off of that, they're going to want that money because it's their character. They own it. But nobody owns Wizard of Oz anymore. They used to, but now it's owned sort of by everybody. It's called public domain. Anyway, it's just interesting because it means that you can look up 100 different versions of the Wizard of Oz stories with the same characters. By the way, if you want a real mind fuck, there is a fucked up sequel to the Wizard of Oz called Return to Oz, and I fucking love it. It is batshit crazy. But I will let you watch that if you want to. It's an incredible work from the 1980s, and it is so fucking bonkers. It is real different from The Wizard of Oz. It's a sequel 50 years later, and it's crazy. Highly recommend that. I saw that when I was a kid, and it's fucking terrifying. Anyway, all right. So the characters in their fight with the witch manage to, I don't know if you want to say that they change or that they reveal parts of themselves that were probably already there. It goes by in a blink and it's easy to miss, but each character gets their moment. The Tin Man, who has traditionally been pretty mean to people, making fun of him and stuff. When Dorothy's captured by the Wiz, she starts to cry. And the Scarecrow says, "Don't cry, you're gonna rust." But the point is, he has a heart. He actually feels bad that He's become friends with Dorothy, and now that she's taken, he cries over her. Shows that he always had a heart. The Scarecrow has this plan to drop a chandelier on all the soldiers. That's actually pretty smart. And so he does a smart thing to show that he was always smart. He thought he was dumb, but he wasn't. The Tin Man thought he was heartless, but he wasn't. The Lion actually beats the soldiers, right? The soldiers jump on them, and then they come up there wearing the soldiers' uniforms. They won. The Lion was brave enough to sort of fight them off, even though it wasn't on screen. It goes by quick. It's easy to kind of blink and you'll miss it. And then and there's the famous thing where they throw the water in the witch's face, and that's she melts and whatever. I don't care about that. What I do care about is when they get back to the wizard for the end of the movie. The movie really goes a little bonkers at this point. It's really, I use the word bonkers all the time. I like it. It's a good word for, I like things that are crazy. I don't want to be bored. I want things that are nuts. And old movies are often really crazy. Modern day movies are less crazy. They all like this. I love the Marvel superhero movies, but they generally all look the same. And so I get kind of tired of them. And Deadpool was like, oh, that was bonkers. But then they made a sequel to Deadpool, and it's exactly like the first one. So it's the Guardians of the Galaxy was a little bonkers, but then they made another one that looked exactly. So you get bored easy. And old movies often I find are stranger than people think they're going to be. So when they get back, they discover that the wizard is a fraud. And Toto, by the way, this is the moment where Toto gets a win. Even the dog gets a moment of success where he pulls back the curtain. And you realize that the mighty and powerful Wizard of Oz is a con artist. And again, it's the old man from the crystal ball in the beginning of the movie. And he's the same character. He is a con artist who is basically a nice guy, but not, he says he's powerful, but he's not powerful. And again, this fits into the pattern of women being powerful and men being kind of useless. What he does for them, interestingly, it's fascinating. He can't give them the internal things that they want: the brains, the heart, the brains and the heart and the courage. But what he gives them, but he's from Earth. It turns out he's from Kansas, and but he's so incompetent. He flew his balloon and he couldn't control it, and he crash landed in Oz, and they made him king. Very typical white guy gets a promotion for not doing anything. Sorry, I'm just making jokes. I don't know. But it's white male entitlement. Of course, you just crash landed here, you get to be king now. Lucky you. But he's from Earth, and by the way, he's never learned to work that balloon because he's not able to work it at the end. So he does not become more competent. He's flying away without Dorothy. He just like, oh, sorry, I can't control the balloon. Bye, everybody. But the wizard gives them external symbols that he says in the real world. The world in Earth, the world we're from, the world where he's from, where Dorothy's from, where we live, it's people have these symbols. So he says there's lots of people aren't that he says the only difference between a smart person and a dumb person on Earth is some people have a diploma. So he gives the Scarecrow a diploma. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's kind of mean, really, because I'm sure you guys know. You guys know smart people that get bad grades, and dumb people that get good grades. And grades and diplomas are not a true measure of learning. They're just something society thinks is a measure of learning. And so he gives the Scarecrow a diploma. It's an empty signifier of intelligence. Because it's entirely possible to get a college degree and not be super smart, and it's entirely possible to be super smart and have trouble getting a college degree. They're kind of separate things, and everybody knows this, but we all pretend it's otherwise. So he gives the guy a diploma. Wow. Okay. Big loud stuff going on over there. Right. The lion gets a medal of bravery. Right. He can only give meaningless external symbols, like the watch and the diploma and the medal. He can only give outward signs. That's the limit of his power. It's pretty useless. He can't actually do anything. He can just give you knickknacks and trinkets, and he gives you here's a piece of paper, here's a watch, here's a medal. But it's ridiculous. It's fake power. All right, we're heading out of here. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.